Hi, everybody. Okay, so I'm doing a reading with no theme, collective reading. Let's just get a pulse of the energies post eclipse. Let's get a feeling for that. Let's see what could be happening. Today is Monday, October 16th, so maybe let's look at the rest of the week. Let's get an oracle first. I'm gonna wait a little longer and see if a card wants to pop out. It was kind of reluctant. The energy was reluctant to come out. Unexpected visitors. So maybe someone's reluctant to actually unexpectedly show up for you. Obviously, they might be wondering what kind of reaction you will have once you show up. It's funny because it's almost like the surprise is not just for the person who is actually receiving the visit, but in this case, the surprise is also yours if you're the one visiting, or at least let's say the surprise is also on the side of the person visiting. There's a huge part of unknown. And it means that the person visiting might pleasantly or less pleasantly be surprised as well. It's funny. The Six of Swords, someone is really traveling towards you, definitely. Someone is showing up at your door. It could be any mode of transportation, but ultimately maybe there's a boat ride, a cruise, at least crossing a body of water. No matter how big, how small, something to do with water. Let me go for these. This is a psychic tarot. I was just pausing because I'm trying to feel something else on the Six of Swords here. I was thinking about typical meaning here is crossing tumultuous waters, right? So moving from one riverbank to the other side, but the crossing is not always easy. And I think that matters here. It's kind of the energy of the surprise, right? The slight anxiousness, which ultimately could be very positive, but there's sort of maybe a little bit of tension. Someone is on edge, something like that. Moving on. So the card came sideways. As you saw, it didn't really fall out, so I pulled it out. I guess ultimately I would read it the way I usually pull out the cards. I have to kind of think that this is reversed. Consider it as coming out in the reverse. The Psychic Tarot, this card is the same as the Six of Swords. It's literally the equivalent. So it came out as I was describing the edginess and the anxiousness. And it also speaks of the surprise of the person on the side of the person who's also visiting the other. So it's a mix of pain and pleasure, quote unquote. It's a mix of being really excited about it and yet really, really nervous about traveling towards someone, paying someone a visit, anticipating and sort of apprehending their response, their reaction. Actually, let me move on to this other tarot deck. Let's see what really happens here during the visit, or let's look at how the person. Okay, let's first look at how the person that is being visited. So let's look at that person first. What is their reaction? Seven of Wands with the Page of Pentacles. Why are they defensive? As you can see, the stance here of this person is I'm hearing something that's kind of not relevant. I'm hearing shooting arrows. It almost feels like someone is threatening the other, like don't come any closer or something like that. But what's really contradictory here is the offer. At the beginning of this this is really weird because I'm looking at this as this pentacle is what's coming out of this engine, or the cards are at the moment, I'm not really reading the meaning per se. I'm caught up in the imagery here where someone is shooting this pentacle towards the person who's actually arriving. So it's like an advance notice. It's, you know, the roles could be reversed. I did choose to look at who is being visited, but maybe this is what the person visiting is doing. They're sending an advance notice. Like, you know, if you want to, actually on a boat ride, if you're on the water and you're stranded, you have these special guns that shoot. It looks like a firework, but it's not really firework. It's a device that is meant to indicate your position on the water and to indicate that you're stranded. So it feels like that, but not in a negative way, of course. No one is stranded here. It's mostly the advance notice that I'm picking up. So I do feel now, to be completely honest, that this is rather the energy of the person who's actually visiting, because they're the one that are anxious, that ultimately are just as surprised or dreading being surprised negatively, you know, dreading the possible eventuality that they will not be welcomed. And so they're sending this advance notice. So Page of Pentacles, a message, of course, but it also feels like it's a message that contains an offer, so an invitation, something very clear and concise. and also very appealing. I do sense that it's almost the energy of something you need to unpack, something that looks really, really small, but contains actually quite a lot that is quite valuable if you want. So now let's look at the energy of the person that is being visited. Now this time is for real. So you know what? What I'm doing is, because of the apprehension here that was being sensed, it's the energy of having difficulty moving towards the other person and showing up. And then on this side, where it's more fluid and flowing, we're going to look at the person who's being visited and potentially, well, now that they're being warned with this advance notice, we know that they shouldn't be that surprised. They shouldn't be that surprised. Let's see how they react. Let's see what happens. Okay, that's too many. So actually, you know what? Because I'm going to go for 2 cards, I'm going to pull them out. 7 of Cups in the reverse. And the Magician in the reverse. You know when I told you that this offer contains, it's like small, but it contains a lot. It's the same idea here. This treasure chest actually contains so much more, right? Because the card is in the reverse, you could think that everything is being condensed in this treasure chest. Because when the card is upright, everything floats around and you don't know what to choose. But when the card is reversed, everything is being narrowed down. So you could really think that everything is being contained and that the opportunity that is actually shown here, that is being presented, is in fact multifaceted and really, really, really enticing and appealing here. But part of it, I mean, this is the illusionist, right? The Magician in the reverse is not as, he is just as potent as when he's upright. Or you could think possibly that he's just as potent. Maybe there's something, maybe not as straightforward. It's hard to pick up really. Let me think about this a second more, because this is actually the reaction of the person that is being visited. You know what it makes me think of? All this idea and concept and notion here of it is an unexpected visitor and visit, but ultimately because the person being visited has been warned by the person visiting, it's almost like this person is not going to pretend necessarily that they're surprised, but they're going to kind of play along, and so kind of do it in a way that is I don't want to say fake, but a little bit exaggerated maybe. Yeah, that's better said. They're going to be very emphatic and emphatic. Put a lot of emphasis. I'm sorry, I'm butchering the word. I can't pronounce it right, but it means emphasizing their own emotions. More than usual, or their reaction will be strong. Okay, let's look at what happens. This is the Justice in the reverse. Okay, there's a little bit of there is some sort of dissimulation because it's not fully, okay, instead of using the word it's not true and it's not truthful, let's just say that it's not transparent, maybe. Again, it's a little bit on the how honest is it? And let me be clear here. I'm not questioning the motives and I'm not questioning the feelings maybe between these two people and why they're meeting. But I am questioning both reactions, both people's reactions here and the way they go about it. I feel that ultimately there's something that is not fully, I don't know, I keep hearing that it's enacted. Take it as you will, but that's the best word I can find because I really don't want to speak of lies. It's not, it's like a half lie or it's a, you know what I mean. Okay, let's understand better why would things be enacted. My personal feeling here it's like some of it is like because of the advance notice, right? And the way things are blown out of proportion in terms of, oh, I didn't know you were coming kind of reaction. Whereas basically the person knew very well. And vice versa. I think both parties know exactly what they're doing. So ultimately, it's a almost like a coping mechanism to manage the expectations basically overall. Almost and mainly towards the person who's feeling the most edginess and having trouble getting over their anxiety and nervousness. I think ultimately that's the only reason why this is coming up in this way. At least it's the only positive way that I can spin it. Ain't that beautiful? That slipped out. So the outcome, if you want, is extremely positive. So albeit all of this play and all of this almost drama in the sense of not in a negative way, but something being played out, like acted out, rehearsed almost. Ultimately, there's a very positive reunion, and I'm glad that I chose to see it as something that's being managed, because ultimately the goal is to create happiness, is to create something positive for both people. That's very beautiful. So it's a positive outcome between the two. The meeting, the trip itself, let's just say that the play ends really, really well. The scenario ends on a beautiful note. All right, I'll leave it at that. Let me know what you think. It's highly symbolic, but whoever is trying to pay a visit to someone else and feeling anxious, please be reassured that it's going to be all that you ever wanted. Beautiful. Take care, guys.